The hallways here at NFL Films are covered with many football pictures. One image appears far more often than any other. It's a legendary pose that exemplifies the one-on-one struggle of the game. Some call it the straight arm, others the stiff arm.
A stiff arm, it looks cool. The quintessential football pose that you always see. You can't say, oh, you got straight armed, or I got straight, no, stiffed arm. You got stiffed, you got stopped, you got dissed.
It's been around longer than the face mask. The game has changed, but the stiff arm remains what it's always been, a tough and trusty tool.
Check out the stiff arm. It doesn't matter who it is, linebacker, defensive lineman, whatever. When he sticks that big paw out there, you are in trouble.
Good stiff arm with the arm locked out is hard, really. Maybe the best athlete on the field, doing it quickly when you're getting ready. You're worried about making a tackle that can be tough.
Ran over him and everything, too, the poor guy.
Assault and battery.
It's like a jab in boxing, and it definitely can keep the defender at bay. It's a great weapon, and, I know we have a couple backs that utilize it.
D'Angelo Williams doesn't like the middle, goes left, uses a stiff arm. He will score left side.
Chris Houston, you had no chance.
Houston, we got a problem.
It's a running back's way of getting a little payback to the guys who are trying to knock him over.
It's a skill that's utilized by people who can't win the track meet. Usually when you're in position to stiff arm somebody, you've acknowledged that they're going to run you down and you can't get away from them.
Depending on what kind of punch you have, some people are better than others. I think it's just that competitive zeal to 6-inch jab that thing.
You got to be strong to do it, willing to sacrifice a few fingers in case he gets stuck in face mask.
I can remember as a player getting a face full of stiff arm. It's like just grinding it into your face mask and being pretty ashamed.
You'll see some blows. I mean, it goes beyond straight arm or stiff arm and becomes like a shot to the head.
You just take the palm of your hand and you try to break the other guy's nose. He got me with a little stiff, man.
Running backs practice the stiff arm.
Straight arm, straight arm.
And it comes in handy.
Give him that stiff arm now. Give him that stiff arm.
I've always said that this effort by Garrison Hurst was the greatest running play ever. Without a stiff arm, he never would have gone 96 yards in overtime. As for Marion Barber's amazing end zone escape, it would have been impossible without 4 stiff arms.
Get out of the end zone. He goes to the 5, to the 10. Unbelievable. Oh, my.
Sometimes Barber's fingers get entangled in the face mask. Now, in the past, this was often overlooked. Not anymore.
Personal foul, grasping the face mask, 34th, offense, 15-yard penalty.
I know the one rule change that makes it a little bit more challenging is the location of where the stiff arm is placed on the defender. Our guy Reggie's been fined a couple times because his has gotten too high in the face mask.
Despite the crackdown, the stiff arm is thriving. Even receivers are using it.
That's something Larry Fitzgerald wouldn't use before. He didn't want to mess up his manicures. But once he started using the stiff arm, it's an effective weapon.
Quarterbacks are strong-armed in more ways than one.
Use that stiff arm, boy!
Everyone's using it, except, of course, defenders who get stiffed.
I hate that defensively, you can't touch anybody their face mask, but they can stiff on you in your face. I hate that.
After a turnover, defenders can stiff arm. Although their opportunities are rare, they're not that bad at it.
That was nice, but you got to work on your stiff arm a little bit.
There is a lasting tribute to this iconic football pose, the Heisman Trophy. Eddie George earned his with the help of the stiff arm.
It can be a very beautiful weapon, and I've used it on several occasions. I don't try just to punch or just to fend off a defender. I try to choke you. I try to literally envision myself picking you up, and slamming you into the ground. That's what my stiff arms are like.
All the great backs had great stiff arms. Runners like Emmitt Smith, the NFL's all-time leading rusher, and LaDainian Tomlinson, the record holder for touchdowns in a season. For some runners, the stiff arm is their legacy.
Jamal Anderson had a killer stiff arm. He was nasty. He had a very vicious stiff arm.
Earl Campbell, strong stiff arm.
Corey Dillon, when he played for the Bengals, would drop a heck of a stiff arm on you.
I've got one that uses it all the time, Brian Westbrook. For a little guy, I mean, he just sticks it out there. You remember the one against San Francisco? I mean, he just about tore the guy's head off.
Whoa, he stiff arms Michael Adams in the face, right down the sideline, and just keeps galloping.
Ricky Williams will use it. In my opinion, it's the difference sometimes, in an extra 4 or 5 yards, a first down in a critical situation, any of those things.
Usually when you stiff arm a guy, it slows you down, you know what I mean? But I got him so good.
Well, Walter Payton was the best at it, because Walter would give you it all. He'd give you the hand to the head, and then he'd give you the forearm. So different versions of the stiff arm, but he was great at it.
I've watched him knock out little DBs with his forearm. You don't want to be the one that gets knocked out by Walter's forearm.
The stiff arm. It captures the essence of the game, and it remains one of football's most enduring weapons.